Today we're going over red dot or iron sights. Since red dots became a thing, there's been a long debate between which is better and which should you choose between the red dot and iron sights. And my 30-second breakdown answer for that is the red dot is the better option between the two. I could make you guys wait to the entire video and to get that answer, but I don't want to do that. I want to make these as efficient as possible to you. I understand analytically why it benefits me to make you watch the whole video. Revenue-wise, it's better that way, but I also solely believe in I take care of you and give you answers as quickly and as efficiently as possible. Then you guys will take care of me by subscribing, commenting, and just generally supporting the channel, and I appreciate that. And I would love to give you guys as much information as efficiently as possible without having to waste your time, so you can get off your phone now and go hang out with your family or do whatever you want, and the more important things than watch me here on YouTube. But if you do stick around for the video, it does help out and I appreciate it greatly. With that being said, let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into this and go over the reasons I say that and go why I choose red dot over iron sights. So there's a handful of things that both of these do better than the other one. Red dot is better at longer distances, more precise shooting because of the fact that you just have the dot to focus on. And in night vision situations, you can run it a lot easier than what you could do with iron sights. Iron sights are better in inclement weather. Inclement weather where you have snow or rain or anything like that that could potentially occlude your iron sight or red dot. You don't have that with iron sights, and the fact that you don't have to worry about electronics or batteries with these. All you have to worry about is maybe shifting if you have any issues. I've only had that happen to one of my guns in the whole time that I have ever shot iron sights, so realistically that doesn't happen very often, but they're a little bit more solid and less likely to have a they're 100% less likely to have an electronical problem because they don't have electronics, which is sweet. And it's always kind of a good thing to have less things to go wrong. But there is one big thing that your red dot shines that your iron sights doesn't, that I don't see a lot of people talking about. And honestly, I don't really know why people don't talk about this more. And I really want to go into the most detail about this point. We can go back and forth about all the little things. And I actually have a video already on red dot versus iron sights going over all the little points. And I actually failed to mention this point as well. I was driving the other day and I realized that I did not put this point in my original video. So I wanted to basically make an updated video and go over this point that I don't see anybody talking about. So here's your situation. Let's make this as broad as possible. You are in a home defense situation. Somebody has entered your house. You do not know if they have a weapon or anything in their hands. You draw your weapon and you aim at that person at center mass. So you are looking down your iron sights, and some of you would open both eyes. Some of you would use just one eye. So you are holding that person. You are aiming center mass. And the one thing that I'm worried about and want to know is what that person might possibly be doing with his hands, what he has in his hands. So at that point, you can no longer be aiming or making a precise shot. You are now going to have to do a point of aim to be able to basically see what's going on with that person. So you're just going to basically point your gun in that direction that you know that's going to go. And with training and dry fire is going to help you tremendously with being able to shoot accurately with point of aim. Where that really falls off and is a problem is when you start get to a farther distance. Anything in between that 10 yards, point of aim is fairly easy. I mean, you can basically point and hit in the body area somewhere, and it is fairly easy to do. Now, once you get to that 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 yards, that point of aim really starts to get a little bit more, probably not the best practice to do when you're trying to shoot at somebody. Now, obviously, I understand if you're trying to assess the situation, just pointing and aiming, and then if you have to make a shot, making a more precise shot and aiming. But I've been in situations where you're aiming at somebody and you are holding that person and you're at a longer distance, so you want to make sure you're making a good shot. So you have to be more precise. So you're now aiming opposed to just point aiming or holding. And the problem with that is that you're going to run into with iron sights is if you're aiming center mass, anything below what you're aiming at, you cannot see because your iron sights are in the way and everything below that. Now with your red dot, and where there's a benefit with this is you're going to put your dot center mass and you're going to be able to see a lot more, not only because your both eyes are open, but because you have this whole field of view of this window to be able to see. So at a farther distance, you're going to be able to put that dot on the center mass, and then you can see the person's hands. You can assess what's going on. You still have your sight right where you want it, and you can move around and still be able to make sure your red dot is right where it should be and your shot is going to be on target. So I'm gonna show you guys a bunch of visual aids here because I think visual aids are super important. It always helps me. I'm a visual learner, and I think that's what the majority of us are, and it helps to see how this looks at different distances. So when you're at your closer distances, it's not gonna matter nearly as much because again, you're just gonna be point aiming, and you don't necessarily have to make that precise shot. And depending on what's going on, every situation is different. Everybody's application is going to be different. So I don't want to try to narrow this down too much to like law enforcement. That's where my experience comes from with SRT. So that is where I'm kind of coming from, but I want to keep this as broad as possible. I don't want to try to like narrow this down to where people are like, well, this doesn't even relate to me. Well, this absolutely can relate to you. Some people will have to use their firearms to hold people more than others. So my law enforcement guys have a little bit of a different view, aspect, thought process, because it's something they do a little bit more traditionally, and this is going to really play to you guys more than the civilian side. But I want to keep it, again, this as broad as possible because it does affect everybody. So your closer up engagements are not going to matter because your red dot is also going to have the same problem where everything below basically where you're aiming, you're going to get a little bit more of a view of what's going on, but whatever you're aiming at below that is going to be kind of blocked. So you're not going to be able to see the hands and what's going on if there's something in there. So at your closer distances, this isn't going to matter nearly as much because even with the red dot, you can see a little bit more, but when someone's much closer to you in that 5 to 10 yards, you're really still going to be blocked lower. But as you can see with the visual aids, it's really going to change your view the farther you go out if you are aiming center mass every time. Because no matter what, if you're aiming center mass, you're always going to have an occluded view of the lower half of that person's body with the iron sights. With the red dot, the farther they get out, the more vision you get because the person is smaller inside of your window of your red dot. There's a reason people rotated from iron sights on rifles to red dots on rifles because of this exact reason. You don't see very often people running primarily iron sights on the rifles, especially for work rifles. You're seeing a lot more red dots, and that's the reason, is because you can get a lot more information and make more accurate shots at distance. And it only makes sense that that would evolve down to your handguns. The only reason it took so long is because they had to figure out the best way to put it on the handguns, create a whole new way of doing that. Because before, I mean, the rifle had the entire rail up top, so you had plenty of space to do that. With handguns, that really wasn't there, so you kind of had to create its own way. You had to create red dots that were smaller, more compact, so you had to really change a lot, and your slide goes back and forth, so you had to account for that opposed to your red dots on rifles where everything's kind of stationary, so you don't really have to have nearly as much things moving and shaking. So these have to be really robust and durable. Man, I'm saying words weird. Robust. I don't know what I said. It wasn't even close. But I'm sure there'll be tons of comments of how I say things. I always say things wrong. I apologize. Warsh. If that's going to annoy some, I'm sure that will annoy somebody. I'm going to go to wash the dishes here after this. But that is really why you saw that rotation to red dot so quickly from your rifles, is because of the ability to gather information, see a lot more, see hands and movement, and make an assessment, and then go from there and make your next decision, opposed to your iron sights where you even just take tunnel vision out of it. It's just blocking so much more of that person. And as you can tell from all the B-roll that I showed you, it's a true thing. And I even threw B-roll of rifles. If I haven't already, I'm doing it now, or I'll do it here soon. It's kind of hard to know where I'm editing in the process, but it's showing you B-roll of what it looks like with a rifle as well. So it's that same aspect of being able to gather as much information to be able to decide what you're gonna do next. So hopefully this video was able to help you make a better decision, or at least have a little insight into why I choose red dot. And maybe that was a point that you've never thought about, because like I said, that was something that I just don't see a lot of people talk about when they do that debate of red dot versus iron sight. Is that point, and I think that's a really important one, and something that really goes in favor for the red dot. And one of the bigger reasons I choose it is to gather more information, to be able to see what's going on, not just when you are actually actively shooting, but before that happens. And hopefully, maybe potentially, it can prevent that from happening. Can it? Maybe. You never know. Or it just makes you shoot a lot quicker, which is good anyway, I guess. I mean, that means you get more rounds downrange a little bit quicker, which is a good thing. So if you guys are interested in helping out the channel, things I do here, there's a couple ways to do that down in the description. There are some discount codes to help you save a little bit of money from companies that I trust. And then there's a link to my link tree. From there's a link to like my website, other companies like Premier Body Armor, Air Precision. Anything you purchase using those links does help out my channel, and I really appreciate the support. I had to change up the gun and switch it up here to the lever action. If you guys are interested in the full breakdown of this gun, because this thing is sweet, it's right here. Actually, due to popular demand, because I had so much request for it, we are doing a V2. The companies were really interested in doing another one because of how much interaction this one got and how cool it is. So we're gonna do another one, and I'll give you guys more information as that comes. We'll send it off to Mad Pig again and have them do their custom work. I'm sure Midwest Industry will be a part of it. We got a couple other that are still discussing things, so I don't want to talk too much about it yet right now, but there is definitely 100% going to be a V2 of this rifle coming out, and it's going to be a 4570, so it's going to be the big boy, which is going to be pretty cool. So the companies that support me and the things I do here is Howitzer, Brownells, and Hold Up Display. display. Howitzer is a clothing brand that donates 5% of proceeds to charity, which is huge, and they do so much for the community, and they help me collaborate with these shirts, and you guys can see me modeling with my brother here on these shirts, and that was a blast designing these together and doing that. And a huge thank you to them for doing that with me. And you guys can order your own in the description. And I do appreciate it if you do. Tag me in pictures you wear, and I would love to see them. Firearms is a company that does a ton for me, and I could not do any of this without them. You can use code TA10 to save 10% off orders of $150 or more. So if you're ordering like a $3,000 build and a project, you can save $300 off of that, and then add it to your scope or your flashlight, and then you save $30 off that, and it just snowballs, and you can save a lot of money, and it helps when building these projects. So hopefully you can take advantage of that and take advantage of that as much as possible, because the code is basically unlimited. You can use as much as you want. So enjoy that and save a ton of money, and then hold a display. These things tell themselves. I mean, these things are awesome. These mounts, these racks, you can get smaller ones, you can get custom sized ones, you can build off of them. So like if you get small to start with, you can add more later down the road. I still have to finish the rest of this wall and cover the rest of the wall with the racks, but absolutely love these things. There's a link to the description as well. But thank you guys so much, and I appreciate you all.